Now, in today's passage, Christ acts as if he's going further down the road. And the Greek word there, to act out, is actually literally to pretend. But the disciples urge him to stay with them for the night. Now remember, they still don't know that this man they've been hanging with all stinking day is Jesus. Now, Emmaus is believed to be about 7 miles west of Jerusalem, and they finally arrive here. Now, I looked at a map of the road system of the day, and there's no other city west of Emmaus until you get 30 miles down the road onto the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. So why is Jesus going to fake them out like this? Like, hey guys, see ya. I'm going to try and make it 30 miles in the next 30 minutes to find safe shelter for the night. Well, possibly it's a reference to the book of Job, where there's a description of God's presence passing by, just like in our passage today. In chapter 9 of Job, it says, "Behold, God passes by me, and I see God not. God moves on, but I did not perceive God." Now, this passage suggests that Job is struggling to perceive God's presence, even though he knows that God is present in his life. Sounds a little bit familiar to our passage currently, right? The disciples still don't know Jesus is there. Now, hold on to that idea. Then Jesus reclines at a table, which is a Luke thing. He uses this verb 5 times when describing a dinner scene. The Jews of this time, they reclined at the table because God told them to do that, as a way of remembering their freedom from slavery in Egypt when Moses led them out. Then they did not have a chance to sit and rest when they were enslaved, and now they're instructed to recline, relax. And Jesus here takes that traditional posture, possibly to illustrate his ultimate freedom in the resurrection. And then he breaks bread, which is the same verb used in the Last Supper, right before his arrest, where he said, "This is my body given for you." Just that famous passage. Then he's arrested and tried and crucified. Now, Christ breaks bread again in this moment and gives it to these 2 disciples. And it says that their eyes are opened and they see Jesus. Then he disappears, like poof. Now, I find it interesting that the moment they see Jesus, he's taken from their sight. Now, this disappearance of Jesus is often interpreted as like a symbolic of our journey of faith. You know, the walk from Jerusalem to Emmaus represents the journey of a soul towards an awakened understanding of God. The presence of Jesus with them on the journey represents the initial stages of spiritual development, where the individual is aware of the presence of God in their life, but still has a lot to learn about how they're all tangled up with intention with the powers of the world. But at a table here, which is always representative of the community, our eyes are opened to see the presence of Christ among us, in our families, in our church, in our city, in our neighborhoods. You see, when we set aside squabbling over ideas and sit down with another in vulnerability, we can actually see one another. When Jesus disappears, it's like this grand invitation to continue the journey of faith, but in trust with one another. We don't have this physical form of Christ here anymore, but we have one another. And these 2 disciples say, weren't our hearts burning within us, talking with him on the road as he opened up the scriptures to us? Now, opening up the scriptures made their hearts burn, which is good. That's a good thing to do. But sitting in community is what opened their eyes to see God among them. Because you can't learn compassion by reading about it. You can't learn to love by thinking about it. You can't dissect the scriptures and find God's presence in physical paper, right? And the people that do think those things can be very dangerous because it's all an idea, and that idea has to be wielded. Harper Lee, who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, said in that novel a powerful phrase in some of the discussion. Sometimes the Bible in the hand of one man is worse than a whiskey bottle in the hand of another. There are just some kind of men who are so busy worrying about the next world that they've never learned to live in this one. Dang, man. As Paula Darcy said, God comes to you disguised as your life. And our life consists of one another.